Ozempic sucks. Actually, no, it doesn't. Ozempic's actually a pretty remarkable drug if you're diabetic, obese, and the context of the situation is such that losing weight might save your life. What sucks is how popular it's become in the mainstream and how people think that it's their yellow brick road for fat loss. An injection you can take so that you don't need to make the healthy nutrition and lifestyle related changes that you would normally need. Never mind the side effects, never mind the fact that as soon as I stop taking it, I'll put all the weight back on. It's your quick fix. It's your magic bullet. So Ozempic is a GLP-1 mimetic. GLP is a hormone that gets released when we eat food. What it does is it lets us know that we're full, both at the level of the brain, but also at the gastrointestinal level. So you have the sensation in your stomach that makes you less inclined to want to keep eating, but your brain's also telling you that you're not hungry anymore. The way the drug Ozempic works is by mimicking this hormone by acting on the same receptors. It's an incredibly powerful appetite suppressant and it works extremely well for weight loss. What we've seen in the research is an average of 15% loss in body weight over a 68-week period, which means that if you were like 80 kilograms, then over the course of a year, you could lose 10 or 12 kilograms. So here's the thing. In some populations who are at risk of serious health problems because of how overweight they are, to be honest, Ozempic's unparalleled in its effectiveness as an intervention. We don't really have anything else which is as good. A lot of the research, especially in the fitness world as it pertains to weight loss, has focused on boosting metabolism. But what we're learning is that appetite regulation is probably where the majority of the battle is. And that's why Ozempic's proved so effective. But that's medically. If you already have a more or less healthy body weight and you just want to get a bit skinnier, or you train and you just want to get leaner, you want to see your abs, then you are an idiot if you're taking Ozempic. Ozempic is for clinically obese, metabolically impaired people under a doctor's supervision. It's not for you. Let me explain why. With better sleep, a few nutritional changes, and a workout program that you stick to, that's all you need to see the same kind of weight loss results that you'd see through taking Ozempic. Without a side effect list as long as your arm, a disproportionate loss of muscle, and all the weight regain that you're almost definitely going to experience when you stop taking Ozempic. In fact, if we look at the results, around a 15% loss of body weight over the course of a year or just over, that's the exact type of result you can expect to see from just making a few lifestyle modifications. People think that weight loss and a health journey is incredibly complicated, or that it requires you to do extremely disciplined, arduous things which are painful and put a strain on every area of your life. But that's just not the case. You can achieve some pretty incredible body composition results with just a few simple changes. It's way simpler than you might think. Shameless plug, I've actually spent a great deal of time trying to streamline the entire process of healthy living, nutrition, and fat loss and amalgamate it into a simple and easy to implement system. And you can access the entire program for free just by signing up for a trial account on the website. Go ahead, you've got nothing to lose. We as humans are kind of funny. We're so tempted by shortcuts, even when we know that it's a bad idea. If you offer a child one sweet now or 3 sweets 1 hour from now, you know what answer they're going to choose. They'll pick the one sweet now because they can't implement the conscientiousness to make good long-term decisions. As adults, it's said that we psychologically evolve past this, but I'm not sure how much. We make incredibly short-term oriented decisions where even if we know that there's going to be a problem further down the line, as long as we can get some immediate gratification and see some results yesterday, we're like, sign me up. Let me tell you, you can lose all the body fat you want, you can carve the body of your dreams regardless of where your start point is, but you can't cut corners. There's no substitute for hard work. In life, we don't get away with anything. Life will show you that, not just with health or with weight loss. You don't get away with pretending or lying or cheating or cutting corners in any area of life. And even when you think you have got away with it, it's only a matter of time before reality holds you to account. We know this to be the case, but the allure of getting a result quicker often prompts us to action more. And the way we behave doesn't always reflect the wisdom that we intuitively have. We all have that voice in our head which goes,
yeah, well, I think it'll be okay.
But there's always a catch. So what's the Ozempic catch? There are a few. You will regain the weight as soon as you stop taking it. If you lose weight whilst taking Ozempic, it'll only work whilst you're taking the drug, because the only reason that it's worked in the first place is through appetite suppression. So the moment you stop taking it, your appetite comes back. And in the meantime, you've done nothing to change your dietary habits, your core values around food, and make any other lifestyle related changes. Ozempic research is still in its infancy, but what we do know from a 2009 2022 study is that on average, participants put 2/3 of the weight they'd lost back on within just a year of coming off Ozempic. The problem is you haven't changed anything about your lifestyle and you're just going to revert to your old habits and the weight you lost will just come back. At time's end, it ends up being like any other yo-yo dieting strategy. Now look, this doesn't actually need to happen. Theoretically, if you took Ozempic alongside making some positive changes, increasing your protein intake, increasing your vegetable intake, starting a workout program, then the weight loss may stick and you may be in it for the long haul even when you stop taking the drug. But that's not what a lot of people are doing. A large amount of people taking Ozempic are using it as a crutch in order to not make the changes they know they need to make. Ozempic isn't remarkable in what you can achieve. I'm not saying it's not effective because it really is, but for someone who's overweight, losing 15% of your body weight over a year or a year and a half isn't actually anything crazy. I'm not saying it's not meaningful, it's awesome, but it's not crazy. And it's not a result that can't be achieved with an easy to implement and sustainable lifestyle and nutrition program. Loss of lean muscle. Ozempic reduces your appetite incredibly effectively, but what that will probably mean is that along with you dropping the rest of your calories, your protein intake will drop along with them. Unless you're making a conscious effort to keep your protein intake high, then you don't have as much of an appetite, you don't eat as much food, and you don't eat as much protein. Now, when you drastically reduce your calories and you don't keep your protein intake up, you will lose muscle mass. There's no other way about it. And what the research shows us is that about half the weight lost whilst on Ozempic is from lean body mass, bone, muscle, lean tissue, not from body fat. Your metabolism will slow down and you'll be more likely to put weight back on once you stop taking Ozempic, which is exactly what we see happen. Because what's happened is you've lost a bunch of muscle mass and your muscle is your metabolic reserve. Muscle burns fat. So losing muscle makes it far more likely that you'll put body fat back on and that you're going to have a harder time losing body fat later. It's like cashing in an investment to get a quick payout. Sure, you've got a little bit more cash in your pocket right now, but long term, you're getting less interest. I'm always trying to stress to people that muscle mass doesn't mean you have to look huge or like a bodybuilder. It means that you look healthy and athletic and lean. And the visual aspect of it aside, muscle is your most important asset for longevity. Loss of muscle mass goes hand in hand with mortality risk, with neurodegeneration. Remember that the number one risk of mortality as we get older is as a result of injury and falls. And it's your type 2B muscle fiber strength that actually safeguards this from happening. So you need to protect your muscle mass as a priority. Also, if we're looking at the biggest killers of older people, we can't leave out cardiometabolic disease, and it's the presence of muscle mass that protects us from insulin resistance, which is ultimately what underpins cardiometabolic disease. The idea that you can lose weight and it doesn't really matter how much muscle you lose because all you really care about right now is weight loss is like creating a business plan where you're only considering your company's income and you're not thinking about overheads or expenditure. You're only looking at half the picture and you're going to put your company in debt. How about side effects? Acid reflux, nausea, dyspepsia, constipation, diarrhea, vomiting, stomach paralysis. Sign me up. Also, there's the issue of thyroid cancer. Results on this are kind of mixed. I don't think we really know enough right now to say whether Ozempic really is a risk factor for thyroid cancer. From what we can see, it probably isn't. But again, why risk it? Especially when you can get the same results just by taking responsibility and looking after yourself. I know that sounds a little harsh, but that's just reality. You may not hold you accountable. I may not hold you accountable. But even if you or I don't, life will hold you accountable to your health-related needs. It's better that we acknowledge this. If you're working out, eating enough protein, you won't be a victim of the same level of losses in lean body mass that we get with Ozempic. And all this is before we even get to the point that they actually cost quite a lot of money. And I mean, you may be able to get your health insurance to cover it for you, but I've got a better idea. How about you put 10% of the money that you would have put into Ozempic into a membership to a good gym, put 30% into higher quality groceries, including fresh vegetables and lean meats and fish, and put the rest in a savings account. So at some point in the future, you've got a deposit for a car or a house or a business startup. Why waste your money on something that you can achieve without spending it and without putting your body through an extensive array of side effects? The benefits of Ozempic that we see in the media and even in research papers use is a little bit of a misappropriation because it makes it look like the drug itself is what offers the health benefits, when in reality, the health benefits are a byproduct of losing weight. When overweight populations normalize their weight, their risk of every health condition under the sun is reduced. All of their metabolic markers improve. We know this. That's not a reflection on how healthy Ozempic is. That's a reflection of how healthy normalizing your weight is. And as I say, you can do this all by yourself. Also, I do need to point out that weight loss is not the only relevant marker of being healthy. A healthy body weight and a relatively low body fat are necessary for being healthy. I know the message is pushed these days that you can be perfectly healthy and obese, but you absolutely can't. That's just ideological hyperbole. Having a healthy body weight is important, but it shouldn't be your raison d'etre. It's not the only thing we should be thinking of. And if taking Ozempic is detracting from your impetus to reduce your junk food, increase your protein and vegetable intake, hit the gym, and be more active, then it's actually harming you because it's giving you a reason to not make these healthy changes. And I just want to stress it again, a far better metric to use to gauge your health is not weight loss, it's body composition, your proportion of fat mass relative to your body weight. And what we see with Ozempic is that because of the muscle loss, you worsen your disposition to healthy body composition in the long term. I really wouldn't recommend it. Now look, there may be reasons that one could or maybe even should take Ozempic. Obesity is the single biggest issue directly, but also indirectly, from diabetes to cancer to depression to injury. But to me, using this as an argument to support widespread use of Ozempic is a bit like saying that because you need to keep warm in winter, that you should just light a fire in your living room. With short-term fixes, whatever issues you think you're fixing, you're probably creating more problems. The main thing you'd be best off doing is increasing the quantity of protein in your diet. What we know from the research is that when you increase your intake of protein, getting about 30% of your calories from protein, it increases how satiated you feel after eating, it decreases the hunger hormone ghrelin, and here's where it gets interesting. It naturally increases your GLP, the exact thing that Ozempic is mimicking in the first place to induce appetite suppression. When people swap out refined carbs and less preferable foods for higher intakes of protein-rich foods, they feel fuller, they eat less calories, and they lose more body fat whilst retaining their muscle mass, which is the exact opposite of what we see happen on Ozempic. Remember that the only way to hold onto your muscle and stay looking lean whilst you lose weight is to do the correct types of exercise, that's resistance training, and make sure your protein intake stays high enough. The point is, if you increase your protein, you increase GLP-1. So what the hell are we even thinking of by taking a weight loss drug when we could just be making the first step that you typically make when improving your nutrition to begin with, increasing protein? One of the integral parts of Healthy Nutrition 101 is the importance of protein for breakfast. And to my earlier point, one of the things we know about higher protein breakfast relative to higher carbohydrate breakfast is their effect on appetite regulation. This one study found that in an isocaloric context where two groups were either given a high carbohydrate meal or a high protein meal, the higher protein group experienced increased satiety, decreased ghrelin, that's decreased hunger, and increases in cholecystokinin, which works in a similar fashion to GLP-1 in the way it communicates to the brain to let you know that you're full. So my point is that we're seeing the same appetite regulatory effects you get from Ozempic just by eating protein, but without the side effects and with the direct protection of your lean muscle mass. I'm not suggesting, by the way, that if you're metabolically impaired and your doctor has recommended that you take Ozempic, that what you should do is go, no, I saw a video on YouTube which told me I just needed protein. There is a time and place for Ozempic, and depending on context, it may even save your life, but not for general population. If you are thinking about taking Ozempic, or you are taking Ozempic to look a bit skinnier, to kickstart a fat loss program, or to speed up your results in the gym so that you can see your abs for the first time, then what the hell are you doing? I think it's a good idea to keep Ozempic out of mainstream use because ultimately the way a lot of people are using it is just drug abuse for the sake of vanity, and they don't really know what they're doing in the way of long-term metabolic problems. And there's nothing Ozempic gives you that you can't do through your own volition. Anyway, I hope you found this informative. It's by no means been an extensive review of Ozempic, and I realized I've kept things relatively simple and that some of these issues are a little bit more complex. By and large, what I think we've done here is give you a broad overview of how Ozempic works and why you should not be considering it as a fat loss strategy unless your body fat percentage, your body weight, and your risk of cardiometabolic related mortality is incredibly high. So please let me know if you have any questions. Either shoot me a message or drop me a comment in the comment section. Hit subscribe, smash the like button, turn on notifications, all of that. I want to make sure that the videos I'm putting out keep finding their way to you. And thanks for watching. See you next time.